What does it take to get beyond the damage of words? I'm Katrina Collier. Join me each week as I explore what it takes to step into a happier future. My guests are sharing their stories of when they realised that they needed help and what it took to take that first step, so that you leave inspired and maybe even start on your own path to self-love, care, compassion, and of course, happiness. So without further ado, let's hear their stories. Thea Bardot, welcome to Beyond the Damage of Words podcast. I am not going to repeat what you just said before we came live on air because, oh my goodness. I am so excited to be the first person to be interviewing you as Thea Bardot.
And I'm so excited to be here. How is it?
I know.
How many years was it? Four,
Oh,
maybe?
let's not do that. Every time it's like years since I last spoke to someone. But the 2020s, they're just like blinking, yet they feel really long at the same time. Time is very strange. Anyway, let's get down to it. I think it's going to be dead obvious how you're going to answer this question, but what led you into realizing that you needed to seek some help? What led to this point? Because obviously the podcast is all about getting beyond any of our traumas, neglect, whatever issues. Stuff.
It is. And I'm so excited to be answering a question like this. And listen, there's not one moment is the easy answer to that. But there's lots of little moments. I think the big realization for me when I started really doing the work was when my body started to kind of reject who I was. It became so physical. And I always tell the story, and people are like, what, your body just gave up? And I was like, yeah, I literally was told by the doctors that there was nothing medically wrong with me at all, but my body was shutting down. And that was pretty powerful. And
they do call it disease, as in dis-ease, don't they?
Yeah,
you're in that
100%. And I mean, you read stories like this, like these sensationalized stories, and you think, okay, good for you.
and then you go through it.
Yeah, mine was kind of like a combination of burnout. I had to quit my job, and my value of myself as a human being was linked directly to how successful I was on the career ladder. And
something outside of yourself.
Yeah, outside of myself. But also, I really cared about my image and what other people thought of me and if I was liked. And I very much was a projector. I was a people pleaser.
The
yeah.
Death to the people pleaser.
Of all the work I've done on myself, that is the one that is the hardest to get away. You have to check yourself sometimes. Like the power of no.
It's an absolute sign of trauma or some kind of neglect. It literally is. If you are a people pleaser, there is some issue there you need to deal with.
And it's just, oh my gosh, what if I say no to this or do it? Anyway.
Well, also because there's the gaslighting that comes when you're being a people pleaser. So in my case, I was being a people pleaser to appease the narcissist. And of course, the second I started trying to stick a boundary up, you're selfish, you're this, the
S word is one of my biggest triggers ever. But yeah, you can't have a career and look after yourself if you're selfish. But if you don't have a career and you look after others, then you should probably be more selfish. You can never win. You can never ever win. But I had this moment where the doctors were like, you should your body's kind of not loving whatever's going on in your head. And it was.
What did you say when they said your body is not loving what's going on in your head?
I was like, well, what are you going to do about it? Because the onus was not on me. Clearly, I didn't have the issue. Obviously, I'm thriving. I've got a career. I'm smashing it. Like I'm physically fine.
Denial.
Because it's so much easier, isn't it? And it's
isn't it? Like, can you fix me, please?
Yeah, you do it. Give me a pill. Just put me back in the workforce. And that's often the thing that whenever I get hate towards who I am now as Thea, it's often people I represent binaries being broken. I'm a
Yeah.
trans non-binary business leader, for anyone who doesn't know me.
Yeah.
Um, and I dress very femme. I kind of exist in between traditional gender binaries. And
Mm.
that to some people is so triggering because
Yeah.
what I'm doing just by walking down the street and batting my eyelashes is going, I'm being everything that I want to be. I'm not conforming. I'm not doing the things that you are told as a kid, and as we both know, a lot of people's
Yeah.
issues come from childhood.
Yeah.
Um, I represent the anti of all of that, and it really brings up this rage, and people don't know where it comes from. Like I can walk down the street and see people physically shudder just by me
Oh,
existing, which
God. Do you
makes
think
me
it
dress.
comes from a I'm trying to analyze this on the fly. Do you think it comes from like a it's really odd. The word I'm thinking is like a jealousy that you can be 100% comfortable in your skin and they're really not. So
Yeah,
they're projecting
it's
that
projection. It's
lack
projection.
of self-esteem and self-hate and
A
all the stuff I
hundred.
used to feel, like I said before I came on, that I was so judgmental. And now I dislike people based on their behavior. I literally don't care how they turn up. If they treat me like shit, they're gone. And I mean, gone. There's no tolerance level in this human
Yeah,
anymore. But it's, do you think it's that? They walk around kind of going,
yeah, and
like,
most
wow, look, he's like, I'm sorry, I just
no, you're
mispronounced
fine.
you, but
That's how you do it. You
he,
apologize
they
and move on. Yeah.
walks down the road fully comfortable in their skin.
Yeah, 100%. But to kind of
Interesting.
I'm not gonna make it, like, acceptable, but I'll give you a
Mm.
nugget of, like, the journey that I've been on. So, that's where
Okay.
everything started, that the doctor's
Yep.
going to me, "Your body's shutting down. Should probably do something about this," and me going, "No, you do something about it." Uh,
Pill,
fast
please.
forward yeah, fast forward 4 years down the line, I've got my own recruitment business, I'm
So you're still
yeah,
ignoring.
yeah, but I'm happy in who I am, and the me setting up the business, my gender journey has been linked directly to that.
Yep.
I am I
Tell
allowed
us
to
that
swear on
gender
here?
journey.
Am I
Yeah.
allowed to
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop an F-bomb. What I realized
Any
recently
sensitive ears, please shut them now.
please, yes. What I realized recently was my business is a
Mm.
big fuck you.
Mhm.
Not just to the people that wrong me in
Mhm.
the business world, it's a big FU to the people that told me I should act a certain way and be this person that was their
Mhm.
idea of who I should be, not who I wanted to be. It's
Yeah.
an FU to the people at the tops of both the recruitment and the travel industry, like basically saying that everyone should look, talk, and think like them. And it's an
Yeah.
FU to say that you can be who you want to be in a
Mm.
business
Mm.
and thrive and be awesome if you look after yourself. So that's the
Do you know,
difference.
even without the gender fluidity, it is amazing what they tell you your business should look like or could look like. And all the way I've bent the rules, and then you've just gone and bent them even more. Love it.
Love it even more. And that's how we get on because it's just like it takes look, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of work, which I know this
Yeah, of
podcast is
course.
about, and it takes some really vulnerable moments and some
Yeah.
moments where I'm not proud of how I've acted in certain
Mm.
moments. And that self-reflection and that
Yeah.
integrity and holding yourself accountable, but
Mm.
also knowing that you're gonna F up a few times and
Yeah.
you're gonna choose the wrong way of handling something or the wrong way of doing something. Like,
Mm.
I think when I started looking at stuff as not, I was always had a mindset of forward, 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 up, 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 up. Second, I took a step back and went, make mistakes, be vulnerable, be authentic.
Yes.
As long as you lead with values and
Yeah.
you're doing stuff for a why and
Mhm.
doing it because there's certain things like especially in business and in personal life there's things
Mm.
that I'll let that one slide, like
Yeah.
that's movable within an inch,
Mm.
and there's some stuff that I'm like categorically
Yeah.
I am not budging on that. That is one of my core
Exactly.
values, my bit of integrity.
Exactly.
And when I realized those two things and then started
Yeah.
prioritizing me as a
Mm.
person, I've
Yeah.
been able to
Oh my
change my
gosh.
name last week. I've been able to
Yeah.
See, it's like the clouds have
What you can't
passed.
hear, I'm really sorry. I just pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, with a minor interruption from my courier who cannot follow instructions.
An unnamed delivery service.
I know, but I'm going to leave this in the podcast because I always think it's like really human where we all go through this. What was that buzzing in the background? Oh my God.
So I once during lockdown did an Instagram live, and my friends got me a T-shirt because I lost my mind when I gave instructions to one of my family members to not come in. And there's this soundbite of me going, "Mum, I'm on an Instagram live."
Love it. It's got to be
Lockdown was
done.
a great time, wasn't it?
No, I know it was. No, something you said a minute ago that I really did want to dig back in is you said about mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's funny how you've learnt that they're okay. I think when they're not okay is if you keep repeating them over and over and over and don't. So you made the mistake of hoping the doctors would help you. 4
Yeah.
years later, that what changed? What made you reach out and get help? What
So
made you actually get in
yeah,
contact with someone?
I mean, two things here. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm diagnosed ADHD.
Mhm,
I have dipped in and out of therapy throughout my life. I've always suffered with
mhm,
depression and anxiety,
mhm,
but
mhm.
kind of manageable levels. Um, and I've never been like a take a pill and fix it kind of person.
Yeah.
Um, I remember I was probably 6 months into this business. I had this it's like a motor in my chest, and I kind of lost not consciousness. I was very there, but
Yeah.
I wasn't. Someone else was driving my body. Um,
Got you.
and I left the house and I went and talked to this poor person in the co-op by my flat, uh, probably for about an hour and a half. And then eventually the store manager came over and were like, are you okay?
And you went, "No."
No, I don't think I am okay. And that basically turned out to be my brain had taken on too much.
Right.
And the ADHD just came out. And I got diagnosed very quickly, which is great.
Yeah.
But sometimes even getting diagnosed or knowing what the problem is not
Mm.
it's the easiest part. You then have to do
Yeah.
the work. Doing the work is the key thing. If anyone listening to this
Yeah.
podcast,
So
you
who
have
have
to
you
do the
been
work.
who are you doing the work with? Is it like a therapist or is it a coach? Is it what have you found that's helped you?
So, two things.
Because obviously there's so much out there.
So much out there, and the biggest thing for me is try things that work for you. Do not just go, this is a one size fits all. It's like management. It's
Yeah.
management. It's like you can't manage people as a block. You
Yeah.
have to individually assess what your needs are, what others' needs are, your lifestyle,
Yeah.
everything. So I did a lot of research, saw a lot of people that said get in an ice bath and have cold showers and do deep breathing. No, like that
Yeah,
doesn't,
no.
like, not for me, hun. Thanks so much.
I know.
Um, Tried it.
I do have people who've been on this podcast who do like doing that, and I just don't.
No.
That is exactly what you're saying. It's like find the thing for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And listen, I'll be honest, I'm still on that journey. Like, the
Yeah.
biggest thing for me was really learning. I was trying to find the solution. And
Mhm.
I took a step and I was getting really frustrated because nothing was working and
Yeah.
self-medicating, drugs, alcohol, the lot, you name it. We've all done it.
Yeah.
We all have
Numbing.
done it, but
Numbing,
anyone listening to
avoiding.
the podcast probably has.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's that it's you're avoiding. And I talk about this in my book, which is about numbing. Like
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh.
And you can do it in lots of ways. I mean, if you've seen the trauma tree, you can exercise or you can have a food addiction or you can have a love addiction or a
Wonderful.
sex addiction. Like there's so
Wonderful.
many different ways to numb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
done it all. I've been a 6 times a week gym person. I've done the healthy eating,
Yeah.
I've done spirituality, I've done the mindfulness, I've done just
Yeah.
one fad to the well, not fad, it works for people, but one
Yeah. For some.
one obsession to the next, which is ADHD in
Yes.
itself.
Mm.
What worked for me was taking the step back and really writing stuff down. I love writing. I love reading. Always
Yes.
have
Yeah.
stuff that in this modern age we don't get to do as much as we want to.
Yeah.
And I love old school. I love a little book, little turn in the
Yeah.
pages, little. little bookmark, lovely. Love a nice notebook. I was the kid at school that was always the one that got really excited when we got to the end of the museum and we get to go to the gift shop. Oh, me in a gift
Great
shop.
books.
Love it.
So you
Notebook, ruler.
do you free write? Do you have a system for your I mean some call it journaling, don't they? I call
Yeah,
it venting.
like, I can't commit to a journaling and then I get annoyed.
No,
I can't commit to daily writing down. So what I found that
I
works for
don't
me,
do it. Doesn't work
no,
for me.
and it's the commitment. I need something where I can dip in,
Mm.
dip out, but I feel
Yeah,
accountable. But I don't feel rubbish if I haven't done it.
exactly.
And what I do is two methods. One is I'll email myself something to that, so then I
Mhm.
can address it later if I don't have time to do it. But I
Okay,
always
like that.
recommend anyone that has ADHD or anyone that has intrusive thoughts
Yeah,
carry a little notebook around, a little pen,
yeah.
always got one, and
Mm.
just feel that feeling, feel it. Don't deny
Mm,
yourself that feeling. Feel it. Live
yeah.
it. Your
Feel it.
feelings are valid.
Yes.
Um, and then write down what you were feeling in that moment and what triggered it. And over the
Yeah.
course of a month, a week, a year, you're going to start seeing repetitive behavior, whether you
Mhm.
want to see it or not. That book is holding you accountable
Yeah.
AF. And I
Yeah.
started seeing what my triggers were. And I went, okay, you're an extroverted introvert that has social
Mhm.
anxiety.
Yeah.
Anytime you're going to an event or need to be present or seen, you're freaking out, um, even though you're the life and soul of the party, to get
Yeah.
there, you're putting yourself through this hellscape. Um,
Mm.
you want to save everyone constantly. You are trying to right the wrongs of people that wronged you when you can't save everyone, and actually, you're causing other people problems by trying to solve theirs.
So when did you realize that what you were saying in that thread was that you needed to save yourself?
I only probably realized that about a year ago. Um,
How has life changed since you realized?
it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and I don't want to say it's gone from like down on the floor to rosy. Like, I mean,
Mm.
so anyone that's listening to this podcast that doesn't know me, so I reintroduced myself to the world a week ago as Thea Bardot. I changed my name by deed poll. And my friends had a lovely little
Loved
name
it.
change party at the weekend, which was so cool.
What? And you didn't invite me? How rude.
It was a three-person event, so it's
You could have
exclusive guests.
zoomed me in.
And
How wonderful.
yeah, but even then, like when I didn't plan on reintroducing myself to the world. I didn't tell my
Yeah.
communications agency, I didn't tell my PR agency, I didn't tell my social media team. There was nothing done, which is very unlike me because a lot of stuff is done with marketing or
Yeah.
brand, whatever. And I did this and I felt so happy. It just felt right.
Mhm.
I'd been sitting on the name for a while, but
Yeah.
I was becoming increasingly annoyed about wanting to be seen but not being able to be seen. And then
Mhm.
ironically, the last week has probably been the hardest week of this journey that I've been on as a trans non-binary person because I spent all this time annoyed that people are misgendering me or just think I'm doing this for attention or there's like
Mm.
so much rubbish thrown at you.
Yeah.
Um, and although I was on this journey, I still never felt
Mm.
like I belonged. One thing I always said to my therapist was, and I'm on HRT by the way, which is hormone
Mhm.
replacement therapy,
Yeah.
um, because I've always said there's an element of spirituality, there's an element of like mindfulness, but there's also
Mhm.
science involved in a lot of this.
Of
And
course.
I always felt like my brain and my body were two different entities,
Yeah.
and no matter how hard I tried, my brain was lacking something.
Mhm.
Not IQ before anyone says it. My brain my brain was lacking something.
Nobody listening to this would be that rude.
No, um, and I was like, I
So
did some
what
really
how was the switch? So is estrogen, progesterone?
yeah, so I'm on estrogen at the
Yeah.
moment, starting progesterone next week, which is really exciting.
And how do you feel in your body now that you've got this hormone that you've obviously been craving?
This was it, right? So I started doing this on the 20th of January,
Right?
and I had no expectations in terms of body changing. For
Yeah.
me, it wasn't that. It was that
Okay.
I wanted to feel whole and present. And I've
Okay.
been saying to my therapist, and I've got a gender therapist and
Mm.
a emotional therapist.
Head therapist, yeah.
Yeah. And I said to her, I've always felt like I've been sat. I could be having a conversation with you right now, and I
Mm.
I felt like there was cellophane in front of my face that I couldn't push through. Felt like somebody else's body was there, and
Oh,
I was a
geez. Wow.
spectator of my own life. Um,
Wow.
and I
That's a
took it. I
beautiful way of
started,
putting it.
yeah, and I started taking estrogen and hormone blockers, testosterone blockers,
Yeah.
and I felt rubbish for about a month. I was like, "This isn't going to work. Like, I'm the one
Yeah.
man." He's the little devil on his shoulder starts going, and then the changes started happening, and it was like I could smell the world. I could see
Yeah.
it through different eyes. My emotions came through. I had always like wanted to cry but couldn't. I just the world just felt softer. I just felt myself. And as I'm 6 months down the line now, and I've started having these physical changes, which is amazing. And
Yeah.
we've got some growth in areas that I didn't know how I would feel about, and now I love.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and
I'm
that's
still
probably
waiting for mine, by the way. Um,
there was that delivery downstairs. That's what was coming through.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Do you know, I'm gonna say something that I didn't plan to say, so but I'm
Love.
hearing you saying that, and I think of the estrogen and the changes it's having, and then I think about how ridiculously ignorant some of the people are about gender neutral toilets. I'm just like, you're so naive. Just look at what the hormones do. Please just Google what the hormones do. I don't even want to waste your energy talking about that.
Truly, truly.
Just
Thank
stop
you for
being
not wasting my energy talking about that. But all you
no.
need to
And
do
I
is
just,
show
but I
how
just like,
all you
so
need to do
what's,
to show how awful that is, or how ridiculous that is look at the
oh,
recent coverage of trans women being banned from chess tournaments. That's
mm,
all I'll say. Just
from
Google it if you don't know what we're talking about.
from chess tournaments. Okay, so what's next? What's next? So I mean, obviously, you did get to that point, and you didn't.
Yeah.
Did you have trepid? You didn't have trepidation when you finally just actually you sat in the corp and you went, "I need help." What
Yeah.
about to people who hesitate? What would you say to them? Because the whole point of this podcast is, I think people get to the point they need help,
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
one step, like that, actually calling someone, phone a
I
friend. Actually,
yeah.
don't phone a friend, phone a specialist. What? How'd you get through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last thing I'll say about being visible, right? So
Yeah, you've
I've
pushed through
gone
your
this
cellophane.
on this journey. I've always been visible, but I've never been visible as me. I didn't know. I
Yeah.
still don't know fully who
Yes.
Thea Bardot
You
is going
didn't
to
finish
become.
your story about this last week, by the way.
No, you're all good. You're all good. And then, but
No,
we're
I
gonna,
want to hear it. What
yeah.
happened? Make
But then
sure I want to know.
we'll
I
go
just
into
realized
questions.
I knew we'd go off on tangents. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
What? What? Yeah, this last week has been there has been so much to deal with
Mm,
because I felt so loved and so
mm,
seen for the first time, and then ironically wanted to do this and crawl under a rock and not be seen because I've been fighting whether
yeah,
I knew or not to be this person and be who I am.
yeah.
And then suddenly there's just this outpouring of love and acceptance. And
Mhm.
again, we go back to childhood trauma, triggered.
Yeah. What do I
Um,
do with that?
I
What do
had
I
to
do with all this love? What's this? Am I worthy of receiving this love? Like, what is this love? Yeah.
100%, I was almost like
Yeah.
trying to find the hate. Um,
Mm. Actually,
and
you remind me of something Glenn Martin always says to me. He goes, "You really don't like a compliment, do you? You just won't take it." I'm like, "Yeah, no,"
I can't.
because it's not that I don't believe it. Mm. As I probably do believe it, but it's I probably know. Like I feel really confident in my skin. I've done 12 years of work, right? I'm very happy with who I am as a human. I have my moments. I trigger like you do, but it's not believing the words because I was damaged by words. So when
Yeah,
people, so that would that it is hard, and it's very hard for someone who hasn't been through emotional abuse or childhood abuse to understand that actually accepting a full-on abundance in any way, shape, or form. Actually, you're talking about love, but it could be health, it could be money, it could be whatever. It's hard. That is a journey in itself.
so hard. It's so hard, and I have exactly the same thing as you. Compliment, no. To plus on what
Yeah,
you said,
you don't really mean
something
that,
I
do
struggle
you?
with massively
Mm,
is and again, this is my neurodiverse brain sometimes, but understanding norms with it when it comes to like birthdays or
Mm.
these things that you're told you're meant to celebrate. And I'm like, but why? I haven't done anything. Like
Yeah.
I need to have done something for this attention. Like I don't want this
Ah.
unwarranted. And then yeah, my therapist was like, maybe you should just let people celebrate you because a birthday isn't actually ironically for you. It's for other people to celebrate you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And then that bit of advice actually is what got me through this last week because
Yeah.
it wasn't about me. The problem I had wasn't with me. It was with people celebrating me, and I was like, "Well, this is just who I am.
Why are they
Like, I
doing
haven't
that?
done anything."
Yeah.
Like, and then it took me a
Interesting.
while to get there. But yeah,
Yeah.
in
But
terms of
that's probably your area to focus on, isn't it? As you go through the next stages, is the, why do I think I need to do something to be celebrated? Why do I need to do
of
so? And it'll have been planted. Guaranteed somebody said something at some point. So
course,
anyway, I'm very conscious of your room
we're
and
good. If
inspiring,
someone tries to
but
come in, very scary.
that's okay. But what are your thoughts? Like if someone's listening to this and they're not taking a step for whatever reason, what's your piece of advice to them? Like, how do you feel now you've taken a step?
Yeah, I guess the best bit of advice, and these aren't my words, so I don't want to be quoted on this. I can't remember. I think it was Elliot
Thea
Page.
Bardot said.
Yeah. In your book.
Elliot Page's words.
Yeah, in your book. I think it was Elliot Page, who is a
Mm,
trans actor activist.
yeah.
And he was saying that a lot of the fear that we have about
Hmm.
being seen
Yeah.
is actually other people's fear that's projected onto us. Yet
Yes.
we as human beings carry that. And you
Yeah.
can start carrying that from childhood and you can carry it. And that bag,
Hmm.
you put a rock in your bag, that bag gets heavier and heavier
Yeah.
and heavier.
Drop the bag.
Before you know it, you're
Yeah.
carrying, you don't, that's not yours to carry. Put it down. Put it
Yeah.
down. And that's why
Yeah.
when I hear people talking about their journeys, they're like, I feel so much lighter. I feel like it's a weight off my shoulder. And I'm
Yes.
quite a visual person. When I took that backpack off and I pushed it down the hill that I was walking up, I
Yeah.
just went, "Oh, thank
Bye.
you. Thank you." And I have to this day, still
Mm,
go, "What is it me talking? Is it my inner dialogue talking? Or
yeah.
is it some stuff that has been hardwired into my brain from childhood? Is
Yeah.
it something I
And
read
which
in
I'd like to rewire. It doesn't need to
yeah.
speak like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and is it a podcast? Is it something someone else said?
Mm. Is it
Our
someone
brains are
else's?
always looking out for these negative things and to find reasons to not
Yeah.
like ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
it's about changing your perception to going,
Mm.
"What if?" Not what if in a bad way, but what if
Eh,
in a good way? What if I looked inside? Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a struggle, and there's gonna be
yeah.
tears, but what if you realize that the thing that you are sat here listening to this podcast now going,
Mm.
I don't like this about myself. I've been told by people it's the thing that's the chip on your shoulder.
Mm.
That thing that you're thinking of right now listening to this,
Mightn't be yours.
it might not be yours, but also
Mm.
it might be the thing that makes you bloody amazing. It might
Yes.
be that thing that if you open that
Mm.
door up and you change your perception and you look inwards
Yeah.
at yourself, that thing
Mm.
that you are so insecure about right now could
Yeah.
be your superpower. It could
Mm.
be the thing that if you go and ask your friends, like, and this is a great technique, by the way, if you
Yeah.
want to know people's perception of you and and you need some love, go and
Yeah.
ask 3 friends to write down all the things they like about you and see what they come back with. That is the first step to being vulnerable. It's one of the things I did.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and
Love that.
I guarantee they all say the thing that you've got in your head right now that you think is the worst thing about you or the thing that you need to change. I guarantee it.
Amazing.
That was if anyone's struggling, that little tip I gave there would be the first thing that I would say go and do.
I love
And
that.
if you are gonna always make sure you're in a safe space. You might
Yeah.
not be able to be who you are from a safe perspective, whether the country you're in, the environment
Yes.
you are in. I think it's so important. People always preach, go do this, live your life, be your own. Some people, that's privilege. And I
Y-
recognize my
y-
privilege.
We have privilege.
We have privilege. I recognize that.
Yeah. Mm.
make sure that you are safe to be able to make these
Yeah.
decisions, or you're in a safe mental capacity to be able to do that.
Headspace. Yeah.
Seek out
That's such
help,
good
both
advice.
from community. Community will
Mm.
always be there. Like the trans community
Yeah.
for me is like I've met these amazing people that
Yeah.
some of them I've not even met in real life, and
Mm.
yet the kindness and the love and the empathy
Mm.
from people that there's no judgment. But
It's
also,
finding your tribe, isn't it, that have been through similar that can help you, not
yeah,
to hold you in the victim, to move you forward and to help you and support you and love you, and
yeah, it's
that's
the
what you're looking
community. It's
for.
always the community.
Mm.
And I think some more advice I would give is I've tried therapists throughout my life, and sometimes I thought I was the problem because I'm like, I can't connect to this person. Look,
Yes.
choose your therapist. Like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to have a session with someone and go, loves you, but absolutely not for me.
Yeah.
Like, people feel like they owe this debt to getting this therapist. It's more important to spend time like finding the right therapist than it is to finding
Exactly.
the right manager or employee. Like,
Yeah, I talk about that actually in my book as well with that, I mean, referrals are a great way to find somebody, but you're absolutely right. They mightn't resonate with you.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, I think that is the perfect note to end on. Thank you. You are so amazing. Oh, sorry, that was a compliment. It's like shit. Um,
I'll
your
take that one.
vulnerability and your openness. There you go. That's not about you. They're about qualities of you.
Love that.
I just genuinely, genuinely appreciate it. If people want to get in touch with you, where is the best way to find you now? What do you
On
prefer?
LinkedIn for
Yes,
sure.
Thea
Um,
Bardot.
so
And
Thea,
just, I'm saying it as many times as possible. It's just, I'm so excited to get to
Thea
call you
Bardot,
by your
Thea
correct
Bardot,
name.
and this is an online exclusive. The first interview I've done as Thea Bardot.
I know. I'm so honored. And also mention the podcast so that you don't kind of go, huh? Who are you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, that was incredible. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Damage of Words. How brave, how vulnerable, all to inspire listeners like you to take a step or inspire others to take a step. Imagine what healing we could create if we normalize this conversation. So please pass this on and, of course, subscribe so we can do just that. Until next time, thank you.